Alright, what's going on, my bears? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna do something new. We're gonna do these Fitness Friday videos, and for the first one I wanted to do a review on C4 Sport pre-workout. Now before I get into my thoughts and everything, I want to preface this by saying I've been using this officially for about a month now. For all of my workouts, I do a 6-day split, so I take this 6 times a week, which might be a lot for some of you, but for me that's sort of just the volume that I do. Let's talk about the contents. On the nutrition label you can see there are 5 calories in this, most likely from some sort of sugars that they add into this to make it taste a little sweet. Let's look at the contents. So we got B6, B12, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, and then at the bottom here they got their C4 Sport Performance Blend and their C4 Sport Energy Blend, where there is 4.9 grams of C4 Sport Performance Blend and 1.135 grams of their C4 Sport Energy Blend. Now, upon further inspection, looking at what's actually in these performance blends and energy blends, you can kind of see that from the B6 it's listed as the pyridoxal 5-phosphate, commonly known as PLP, is just the active form of vitamin B6, and that is listed there under the energy blend. And as for the B12, the methylcobalamin, that's also listed in the energy blend, so I'm assuming they mean that that is how much, that 35 microgram is how much is in total, and it's not an additional B6, B12 inside. There's a lot of pretty good things in here. Micronized creatine monohydrate. Typically you got your beta alanine in here. You have your caffeine anhydrous in here at 135 milligrams, and a lot of other good stuff too. I'm not going to go too in depth with the science and everything. Unless you guys want that, then I can make a separate video about it. But I just want to talk purely about the pros and cons of this C4 Sport. Now, I have had the regular C4, and if I had to compare the two, I think I actually prefer this. Now, I will say that I prefer this. It doesn't mean that I like this. I guess that's a nice segue into the pros and cons list. So let's talk about the pros. The price point. I found this on iHerb for about 20,000 Korean won, which translates roughly to like 18 US dollars or so. So basically you can find this for under 20 bucks, typically on the internet. For a pre-workout, if you're paying for, 30 servings, typically 30 servings, or basically about a month's worth of workouts, a little bit longer actually. That's a pretty good price. Honestly, it doesn't break the bank. That's pretty appealing to the modern consumer. Pro number 2, the mental focus is pretty good. So every single time that I've taken this 20 minutes or so prior to my workouts, I've had pretty great mental focus, been able to really concentrate on what I've been doing. I really feel a good mind-muscle connection building. Overall, I feel like I'm in the zone. For those of you who don't really work out that much, if you don't know that feeling, then basically think of it as you have a really good study session one day. Like everything's just absorbing into your brain, everything's making sense, it's all clear, nothing's confusing. One of those kind of study sessions. Pro number 3, I don't have any jitters during or after my workout, which I love. Typically with the regular C4, I get a lot of jitters, so I'm shaking a lot and I feel a little bit hyper. And honestly, when that happens, for me personally, I can't get a good workout because I can't focus because I'm just so hyped up on energy. When I do get hyped up on energy like that, for me, I find that I'm unable to focus on my form, which can lead to injury, stuff like that. So good that has no jitteriness. Pro number 4, there's not too much caffeine actually. So there's it lists that it has 135 milligrams. The daily recommendation by the FDA is to not go over 400 milligrams for an adult. And with this pre-workout, I don't find myself staying up all night or having too much alertness throughout the day. I am very sensitive to caffeine, so when I take a regular C4, not this C4 Sport, just one scoop, I find myself being unable to sleep at night, and with this C4 Sport, I can actually go to bed at a reasonable time and feel well rested. Let's move on to the cons. Number 1, performance is subpar. So as you can see on the C4 packaging, it says that it's for explosive energy and performance. Yeah, that performance is really not there. So I don't find that I am hitting new PRs or anything like that. I find that actually a lot of my numbers seem to be roughly the same. Normally when I take a good pre-workout, I can actually bring the volume up a little bit in terms of the weight that I'm moving. But with this, it's about the same. My workouts are about the same. Really only that mental focus is there. Con number 2, the explosive energy is also subpar. So both of the things that are listed on this label, you know, for explosive energy and performance, I don't really feel those things. So every day I train a compound lift of some kind, and that's when I really need that explosive energy to, for example, on the squat, to really explode out of the hole. And I really don't feel that. To me, it feels like I've basically taken no pre-workout at all. So that's a pretty big bummer. Con number 3. Now this is really subjective, but when I take a pre-workout, I want to feel a pump. And with this C4 Sport, I feel zero pump whatsoever. I just did a shoulder day, and as you can see, I don't really have any semblance of a pump going in my delts. That's a pretty big bummer, because for me, I want to be able to take those, you know, those super nice Instagram pictures, get that really nice big pump going. And for some people, the pump is what they attribute to a good workout. Obviously, that's not the case. Don't ever think that. But for the real hardcore lifting bro that's residing deep inside my heart here, I really want a good pump, just because it feels good. And with this, there isn't any difference between what I look like before my workout and after, and that's honestly a problem for me. I probably would think that this doesn't really give you a good pump just because there's no citrulline malate in here, at least not to my knowledge. I've read through the supplement facts a couple times and I don't see any citrulline malate, so that's probably why there isn't that great of a pump. Last but not least, con number 4, I get intense cramping. I tested this, obviously. I'm not just like assuming this. So I did the exact same workouts last week as this week, and basically what I found was on every single one of the workouts from last week and this week, I found that the cramping was really bad every time I took the C4 Sport. And yes, I was drinking the same amount of water, you know, I was eating the same amount of bananas, you know, getting all the potassium that I needed. It was exactly the same. The only difference in my diet and, you know, what I was putting into my body was the C4 Sport. So I can safely assume that the cramping was due to this. I'm going to attribute the cramping possibly to their micronized creatine monohydrate. There have been a lot of studies about creatine monohydrate. It can induce cramping in some individuals. I find that in the past when I have taken creatine supplements as in the pill form, I did get more intense cramping than without. So I would say if you're like me and you've experienced that before, maybe don't take this. Now for some final thoughts. I think that as a supplement, as a pre-workout supplement that's advertised to sort of not be so stimulant heavy, I think this is pretty good. In terms of what I need, I think this is a hard pass. So that concludes my review. If I were the average consumer, I would say skip this, get something else. If you have any questions, something that I didn't cover in this video, please list it in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer your questions. Let me know if you want me to go more in depth about supplementation. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And until then, eat your vegetables, get your protein, and keep on lifting.